In a small village, nestled between rolling hills and cobblestone streets, lived a humble shoemaker. He didn't have much, just a tiny workshop, a modest home, and a pair of skilled hands. But the most remarkable thing about the shoemaker wasn't his craftsmanship. It was his happiness. Every morning, as the sun rose, he would open his little shop and start his work. His cheerful singing would echo through the marketplace, blending with the sounds of merchants setting up their stalls and children laughing as they played. The villagers loved him. He wasn't rich, but he was content, and that was something money couldn't buy. Up on the highest hill of the village stood a grand mansion. Inside lived a man of great wealth, surrounded by gold, silk, and servants to meet his every need. But he never sang. Instead, he spent his days counting coins, worrying about his fortune, and fearing that one day he might lose it all. At night, he lay awake, troubled by thoughts of thieves and bad investments. Every morning, as he sipped his expensive tea from a delicate porcelain cup, he would hear the shoemaker's joyful singing drifting up from the marketplace below. And it bothered him. How could a poor man who had nothing be happier than him? A man who had everything. One day, the rich man decided to run an experiment. He walked down to the village, stepped into the little shoemaker's shop, and placed a heavy bag of gold on the counter. The shoemaker looked up, surprised. "Good morning, sir. Do you need your shoes repaired?" The rich man shook his head. "No, I've come to give you something." The shoemaker untied the bag and gasped. It was filled with gold coins, more than he had ever seen in his life. "For me?" he asked in disbelief. "Yes," the rich man said. "You work hard. You deserve a better life. Now, you won't have to struggle anymore." Overwhelmed with gratitude, the shoemaker took the gold home, unable to believe his luck. That night, for the first time in his life, the shoemaker couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned, thinking about the bag of gold. Where should I hide it, he wondered. Under the bed? No, someone might find it. In the garden? But what if someone saw him burying it? Every creak of the house made his heart race. Every rustling leaf outside the window made him jump. By morning, he was exhausted. But worse than that, he no longer felt like singing. The villagers noticed the change. The shoemaker no longer greeted them with a smile, no longer hummed cheerful tunes while he worked. Instead, he looked over his shoulder anxiously, as if expecting something terrible to happen. His joy was gone, replaced by fear. Finally, the shoemaker couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed the bag of gold and climbed up the hill to the rich man's mansion. When the rich man opened the door, he looked puzzled. "Shoemaker, have you come for more gold?" The shoemaker shook his head and held out the bag. "No," he said firmly. "I've come to return it." The rich man frowned. "Why? You could buy a bigger shop, hire workers. You wouldn't have to worry about tomorrow." The shoemaker took a deep breath. "Before you gave me this gold, I had nothing. But I had peace. I slept well. I sang every morning. But since I took it, all I've had is fear. I don't want to live like this." A genuine smile spread across his face, one he hadn't worn in days. "I'd rather be poor and happy than rich and afraid." And with that, he turned and walked away. As he stepped into the marketplace, a familiar tune rose from his lips. By the time he reached his shop, he was singing again, his voice light, warm, and free. The rich man stood in his doorway, watching him disappear into the bustling village below. He looked down at the bag of gold, then back at the shoemaker, now a tiny figure in the distance, whistling like a bird set free. And for the first time in years, the rich man wondered, is he richer than I am? Moral of the story: true wealth isn't measured in gold, but in peace of mind. Money can buy comfort, but it can't buy happiness if we let it control us. Sometimes the key to a good life isn't having more, it's knowing when we have enough. Wealth doesn't always bring freedom, sometimes it becomes a burden.